Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar today, which is the Magic. Very excited to be here with all you guys. We're going to do our final 8 bracket challenge. I'm joined today by Tommy Walker. He's the editor at Conversion Excel, the host of Page Fights, which is another awesome CRO webinar that compares landing pages. He will be speaking at the HeroConf Conversion Summit coming up in mid-October, and you can reach him on Twitter at TommyIsMyName. Welcome, Tommy, to the CRO webinar today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure.
Yeah, great to have you on board. And I'm Sam Owen, I'm Associate Director of Paid Search at Hanapin. I'm also head of the CRO department here. I'll be speaking at HeroConf Conversion Summit too, and if you want to yell abuse at me during the webinar, feel free to do so at Sam Owen PPC. And if you want to just join in on the conversation, so hashtag ThinkPPC is our webinar hashtag. Don't be confused by the CRO layout of this webinar. Hashtag ThinkPPC is what we'll be keeping track of throughout. And we'll start by warming you guys up so you feel a little more into this thing. So I'm just going to ask, what do you prefer, science, magic, or you have no idea what the difference is? And I'll throw this one over to you, Tommy. Which would you prefer? Would you rather go to a science lecture or see a magician?
You know, I think for me it's more of the magic side of things because I'm really into design and having the design speak to a target audience. And I think that there's still, I mean, you know, that something in Thor that they say is science is, or magic is science we just don't understand yet. So I think that it's really a combination of both, but for me it's more about the magic aspect of it and using the science to get to that magic.
Very cool. And as a PPC person, I feel like I'm probably shoehorned into being all about Excel and conversion rate numbers and looking at things more in kind of a framework of what could work well on the science side. So hopefully it will be a good compliment today. It looks like from our poll results, we have a lot of scientists on board and then a few people who don't know what on earth we're talking about. So that's really good. We'll explain that as we go along. The second question is just to get a feel for you guys out there, what you're doing with landing pages at the moment, to help us kind of inform how we talk about our landing pages. So if you don't do anything, select A. If you're kind of a web development whiz and you build them already yourself, that's B. If you use a tool like an Unbounce or an Optimizer or a visual website optimizer to help you with either building or testing them, press C. And then if you outsource web design and landing page testing, D. So Tommy, what's your web development experience? How good are you at building landing pages, or is it more of an analysis thing for you?
It's a little bit of both. I build them myself, not from scratch. I use Unbounce because I'm actually a code weenie. But yeah, I like to build them myself and then test them out that way.
Very cool. And I think it looks like we've got a pretty even spread here of people in each category, but it's nice to know that most of us at least are doing something with landing pages. We've got a pretty technically understanding audience, so that's awesome. Cool, so introducing kind of the theme of HeroConf Conversion Summit, like I said, coming up mid-October. The magic and the science, it's 2 tracks we're going to have. Magic looking more at the design aspects of what makes a great landing page, and the science looking at some of the kind of coding behind the unique elements that we might set up. So, okay, so that's where we're at. I think it's going to be an awesome conference, and what we've done is we've broken up our brackets. If any of you saw the previous post on PPC Hero, we've gone from 16 down to 8, and we have 4 that we consider that kind of fit the magic and fit this 4 each for the magic and the science brackets. And we're going to whittle those down, and you guys are going to vote at the end here on what your favorite of the landing pages is. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into Google Chrome, and we're going to start looking at our final 8 landing pages in the landing page games here. And Tommy is going to...
I'm gonna kick this off?
Yeah, Tommy is going to jump in as our Jennifer Lawrence character in the landing page games. And about this borrow landing page here.
Sure. So my first impression of this page is I'm not, visually speaking, I'm not quite sure what the page is supposed to be about. Without looking at any of the copy or anything else, it looks like a page for a watch. And as I go to look around the page a little bit more, use your luxury watch to secure a loan, Rolex, Cartier, Omega, etc. It starts to make a little bit more sense to me. However, my brain is still trying to reconcile that this is not a watch landing page, right? It's not for a watch company. And I start to look at the rest of this page, and I see speak to a specialist or get started online, and there seems to be it's a little confusing, right? As I look at just kind of glance at all the elements, it relies a lot on the text here to tell me what the page is about. But we're looking at these bullet points right here on how it works: fast, simple, and smart. That doesn't tell me how it works, and if you're assuming that I'm going to go in and read the more granular text, I'm more likely to click back. If I have, I don't really know how I don't know how traffic is supposed to get to this page, so that might have a big part to do with it. However, I would tend to recommend to avoid using buzzwords or words like fast, simple, and smart, especially if it's not made immediately apparent through both the graphics and the text what this page is supposed to be about in a very intuitive way. Obviously, the hero image here is for that watch, but is there a way that we can use a different graphic or make the headline a little bit more apparent that this is actually about securing a loan? Sure,
and I'll kind of jump in there too, because I think the thing that stands out to me here is exactly what you said, and the 5-second "what the heck is this page about" test. My gut reaction was that this was about buying luxury watches, and then it took a second, so my brain kind of starts up here. I saw luxury watch, I saw the image of a luxury watch, and then instantly my brain is like, all right, this is a page about luxury watches, and then fast, simple, smart doesn't really tell me about the loan in the 5-second snapshot. So I'm still thinking like, oh, it's going to be quick to buy one and get one from for cheap. So that's probably kind of the main thing I think isn't working too well about this landing page. What I do like is that the form on the side is pretty simple. It's above the fold. I'd maybe change the submit button to a more compelling call to action. Mm-hmm. And then kind of as we scroll down, so there's a little bit of information about the company. Some kind of customer feedback, which is valuable, and then some kind of reasons that, or as a good place to secure a watch against. But I probably feel like I need a little more information still from this page. So I don't know about other people out there, but I'd never even considered using a watch as collateral against a loan product. So my awareness level of this product is really low in terms of. I guess I knew that you could go to a pawn shop and do that, but from a specialist, really no idea of this product or how it works or if it's a normal thing or anything like that. So that's kind of, as I scroll down, what's kind of missing for me. But again, like you said, it depends on the kind of alignment, where people are coming from, which keywords on PPC, etc. that they're kind of landing from.
Yeah, one of the things I would recommend with this too is looking at the Nielsen studies from way back that say that people are generally reading the first handful of words in any given line. You could restructure this entire first sentence where use your luxury watch to secure a loan. Start that sentence with secure a loan by using your luxury watch, right, or something along those lines, because now it's going to be made a little bit clearer. If you're using the hero image to kind of guide a person's eyes towards that, what that value proposition is, not, if I'm kind of just doing this quick test here, my eyes land on this watch and then I'm kind of trying to bounce around. Guide my eyes a little bit more, even if you have that watch on the other side and then you're going from, watch to text, right? Because most English-speaking countries are reading from left to right. So keep that in mind as you're going through. And then the other part is, as you're going down the page, right, you're asking me to submit when I literally have, submit and speak to a specialist with very little context as to what the page is about. Use a longer form page here to build what that case is, and then only make that ask after you've made the case. Right now, you're asking me to submit and get started online, and I understand that you're going for that above the fold button. But you have to make this sort of like, you have to make that case. Ollie Gardner talks about having, just doing the kind of scan test and what words stand out to you like right off the bat. And there's no story being told that way. If you were to scan through this page, you wouldn't see that, and then you're being asked to submit. So that would be the recommendation, is to, build a better case, use a longer form landing page to do that, and then make the ask once your case has been made.
Cool. We're going to jump onto the first competitor to this landing page. So this is Laserfiche. And Tommy, why don't I let you jump in to start here again?
Laserfiche, actually, I think you guys were in page fights too at one point. I've read this page. I don't really have much to say because there's nothing here to tell me what Laserfiche is, right? You and I were talking about this yesterday, Sam, where it is this, whoever made this page seems to have, they have the understanding of the product, and that understanding is not being communicated properly through here. I don't have much to work off of. Whether your organization is looking to go paperless, manage digital content, or automate business processes, our team of enterprise content management consultants are here to help you. With what? Exactly. I mean, it doesn't, there's not much to work off of here. In just 30 minutes, you'll see the capture storage. Like, if you could scroll down just a little bit here.
Sure.
Yeah, the capture storage, security, workflow features you get with Laserfiche, there's nothing that's benefit-oriented for me here. And I have virtually no understanding of what this product is right off the bat. So I wish I had a little bit more to say there, but there's no reason for me to schedule a demo because there's been no case made as to what the product even is.
So I think I agree with you. This falls into the trap of what I see with a lot of B2B websites, which is they assume kind of business language works really well just because it's a B2B product. But still, you're kind of selling to a real person who needs to understand, in layman's terms, like, why do they need your product for their business? How are you going to help them? So there's no real value proposition here. There's nothing that says, save X $1,000 or save 20 hours a week of time. It doesn't. So on top of not really telling me what the product is without watching the video here, it doesn't give me a reason to want to watch the video by giving me at least some unique value proposition to go with there too. So that's kind of my take on this page. Of our first bracket, Tommy, who would be your winner between Borrow and Laserfiche?
It would have to be Borrow.
I think I'm in agreement with that. We're gonna eliminate our first landing page from the fights. All right. Here's our next couple. We have the Presidential Tower.
Why don't you start off on this one, Sam? Oh. There we go.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Are we back? Perfect.
I can hear you. Yes.
Thanks for sticking with us. Gremlins in the system. Cool. So we have our first landing page here in the next round, which is the Presidential Tower in Bangalore, India. And it's a little bit different. So obviously, kind of the aim here is to get people interested, potentially sign up to buy some luxury apartments. And immediately when I saw this, there was kind of a big disconnect between the imagery I'm getting in these pictures and then the rest of the page. So it looks very, on kind of a snapshot, it looks like an engineering page. It's very hard lines and paper clips over information as I kind of scroll down. But what I'm actually getting in the imagery is a real luxury experience. So that was kind of a disconnect. Instantly, I'm a little bit anxious, like, okay, what's going on here? I would much prefer to see this page built much more around strong design, using much larger versions of these images, tell a story about this tower, say why these apartments are so luxury and kind of show everything that's on this page. So the imagery is the best thing about this page, and that's probably what we should really focus on in building a strong landing page experience here. What do you think, Tommy?
Absolutely. A couple of things that stood out to me too is the slider here. Sliders have been pretty much known to kill conversion rates. Period. Because as soon as I'm like looking at this image and I'm going like, oh, this is a really nice looking photo here, it will slide right there like that. And the idea that this page is, it's supposed to be a luxury tower, and it's the tallest luxury tower according to the first image, that makes me think that possibly, you know, maybe we should use a longer page. And you might hear me say a lot throughout the course of this, go for a longer page, and it's not for the sake of having a longer page, but it's because these are big ticket items. And in order to do that, in order to make that sort of proposition clear, you have to be able to give people all of the information that they're going to be looking for. So my recommendation for this page would be to take these images and sort of break them out and tell the story. Again, you'll hear us say this a lot, by having people scroll down the page in order to do that, and give people a real sense of what this page is about. As we scroll down the page now, we have tiny text, and we see, you know, the amenities of this place: the gym, the meditation square, the yoga deck, a pool, an infinity pool, and a fun pool. What's the difference between these three things? You're assuming I know. Kids is an amenity, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. And what I would like to see from this is images of all of this stuff, right? Give me these rich images that you're showing in the front, but bake it into the design. Don't make it so the design itself is this sort of container, but rather it's all kind of one singular experience, and as you're going down the page, you go, oh, wow, this is really nice. And this is luxury apartments, so that's pretty neat. I would recommend that you have some more like relocation information on here as well. You know, who are the people who are coming to this apartment? Are they international people who are relocating for a while? Are these locals? All sorts of stuff like that. So if you can scroll back over to that front image that they have.
Which one, sorry?
The first image in the slider. I'm going to assume that is the affinity pool. Yeah. So this is like, welcome to the tallest residential tower in Bangalore. I hope I'm going to say that right. Bangalore. Like, if this is the tallest residential tower, play with that in your design, right? Take that sort of concept where like this is a luxury residential tower, and I really think it could be very beneficial if you're taking all of that visual information and making this a taller landing page that gives you kind of an experience, like a floor by floor, if you will, of what it's like to live here.
And just from a technical point of view, I would have that headline. So I don't care that this is a project by Golden Gate. That means absolutely nothing to me. I have to do like a lot of research on my own. You're not giving me the information that this is a residential tower with luxury apartments, because by the time I've scrolled to that image, it's already skipped past with the slider. So that's fine as a headline, but stick it up at the top there so I know exactly what's going on. I don't have to think, where am I here?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do for sure on this page.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to start with the top of that page being like, this is what it's like at the top floor on the infinity pool, and then as you get all the way down to the bottom of the page, that's what a lobby's like. You know, because that would give you kind of that experience of living in this place.
Cool. Let's move on to the challenger for the presidential tower, which is Click Labs Android app developer. So what's your gut reaction? I'm going to scroll through here, Tommy, while you kind of say.
Yep. Actually, if you could do a quick scroll down this page real quick, we'll just get kind of a sense of what the page is about as we go down. I really love the color scheme of this page. I love the there's a really good understanding of
the page real quick for you. Keep going.
Yeah. There's a really great understanding of how color and typography play with each other to give that sense of character. However, there's one major thing that kind of stands out to me as we scroll down this page, and that it's, you know, get a free quote from our experts, get started. Like every one of these sections here, right? You've got this talk to us, platform, get started. This keeping, like, as every time it shows up, it makes me feel like the page itself is going like, hey, get in touch with us, with the propositions that are being made in each one of these, right? For bets, like, this is really great text on but this talk to us form is more distracting than it is, than it is actually useful in my mind. And then the other part that stands out to me is that this is an app, development company, but all of the app stuff is actually hidden within these little drop-down menus, right? Click here to see our startup applications portfolio. This is where we start to get a sense of your design sensibility, which is really great. If I'm a person who is looking for app development, and I've done this before for a client, I'm generally more concerned with the company's aesthetic appeal than the way that they, than everything else, right? Are you going to look the way that I want my app to look? And you're going to show me that through your portfolio. But by having this stuff hidden right here, you're relying on me to even first see that click-through or that button that drops down, and then, second, then skip through all this stuff. If it's not made apparent to me right off the bat, I'm probably not going to take a look at it. Sam, what do you think?
So I agree with you. I think the single biggest thing, if I were looking at to build an app, would be the portfolio. So it's kind of a little different with designers, but you think traditionally, like web developers, designers, you go straight to the portfolio to see what they're about. Like, do they make good products? So I would definitely have that as something that's open from the start. In terms of the text, maybe I disagree with you a little bit, but it seems to be a little airy for me still in terms of when I read it, I don't learn too much. So we create seamless user experience for mobile and web apps, building a lean startup. I mean, I guess it's okay, but it still seems like a little bit, okay, so what does that really mean? Like, tell me a little more.
Yeah.
And everything that's really good that I love about this page, and I do like a lot about it, seems to be hidden away as well. So again, the portfolio, which is what I want to see, but also this kind of thing that the development cycle that I opened up. So it tells me exactly what's going to happen when I hire these guys, right? They're going to do some research, they're going to spec it out, they're going to design it, develop it, do the QA, we're going to launch it, then we're going to get some feedback from the analytics, maybe change it up, and then final, development and improvement. So, okay, instantly I know exactly how our relationship's going to work from this image, but it was hidden away in favor of, we're passionate about app development. That's great, but this stuff to me is like answering a lot of my anxieties about how it's going to work, and the design tells me these guys are pretty competent, as does the portfolio. So yeah, there's a lot to like. I agree with you about the scrolling, talk to us, get started being pretty distracting, because let's say, let's close these up. Let's say I really care about what they can do for me. When I scroll down, instantly my eyes are straight back on the talk to us, and maybe I haven't been sold at this point that I want to talk to these guys, and I've kind of lost interest in the left side of this page again. So maybe it works. A/B test it, see if it does. It could just be that you have buttons that redirect back to the form, so like they're looking for something different. Again, having the technical prowess that you can do this is probably also relevant for a company like this. Like, hey, we can actually do these cool things with our websites, with our apps. So I've done a lot of testing.
And that flow that works out, the flow that's hidden in the second side of that, or the second part of the site, I think that's really great too, especially if a lot of clients come to you and say, we've worked with other companies before and it was a nightmare. The actual development process was a nightmare. That's a really great value proposition, but it shouldn't be hidden that way. And this, this floating form could be a way to maybe demonstrate some other parts that are going to be important. Like, instead of having the talk to us form, maybe a link to maybe a portfolio link that changes on each scroll or something like that. Like, still utilize the technology, but don't have it be that sort of like needy girlfriend. Like, hey, are we going on a date? Are we going on a date now? Okay, now that you're further down, are we going on a date? Like, I think that there's a lot of good to this page, but I think that if I were looking for an Android app developer, I probably wouldn't go this company right off the bat, because it's there's not enough that tells me quickly what it's all about.
Cool. And let's decide on our winner between the Click Labs and the Bangalore Residential Tower.
I vote for Click Labs.
I agree. Cool. So we got our two semifinalists in the first bracket. Let's move on to our Magic bracket. These are landing pages that we specifically picked for one design element that kind of stood out to us. So we'll start with this one. It's the Fuerteventura Surf School, which is in, I believe, the Canary Islands over near Spain. And I'll let you kind of kick off here, Tommy, with your gut reaction. What do you think of the big kind of hero image at the top of the page here?
I love the vibe that this page gives. I absolutely love the vibe that this page gives, as far as like the happy people, and like this is very clear that this is, you know, something related to surf. I do. Okay, so the lazy. Okay, wait. So we'll get to that in a second here. However, this page does also have. It looks like it was taken with an iPhone camera, and there's something about that kind of throws me off a little bit. I think I would like to see a little bit more professional imagery, but not that it borders on stock, and that's going to be really hard to do. But I think that this is great. And the guy in the Speedo, actually, over here, I didn't notice that before. There's a dude in a multicolored Speedo. So, like, we're definitely in Spain. That's awesome. It's not immediately apparent to me because of the positioning of this, where the surf school is, where this headline is. It's not super apparent right off the bat. I think I would like this sort of, this headline area here. I think I would like that closer up to the top right, because that's where everybody's pointing. So your visual cues are pointing up to nowhere. And if you were to put that surf school for beginners and pro up here on the top right area, you might, you know, it might make it a little bit clearer as to what the page is about immediately. And then as you scroll down the page here, you got the lazy loading, which is cool. What we had experienced yesterday when we were looking at this is that some of the lazy loading was actually lazy, and it didn't load right away, and that was a little distracting. But I think, you know, for what you can expect to learn and how takeoff looks, there's a lot about this page to like. Some of these images I think are superfluous down here at the bottom. You know, I think that there might not be, you know, you could probably better curate some of these images. But for the most part, I get it. The only thing that I would like to see from this page a little bit more is sort of a better understanding of how people are coming here in the first place. Like, is this a surf school for people who are on vacation? Is this more for locals? How does that work? And then we were talking about this yesterday too, the 5 days, 3 joining, 1 day. Keep your language consistent here. And that's pretty much all I got.
Cool. So as we keep scrolling, there's one thing that kind of jumped out at me here was the arrow visually takes me away from the book now, which is what I want to do. So I'm scrolling down, I'm like, all right, I'll book now, and then I just look and see this guy down here. So that's something design-wise that maybe could be tweaked. And I think you're exactly right, Tommy. The biggest thing here is just, like, how are people getting here and how are they kind of deciding when to book it? So is it, I'm already on vacation, I can't hear about it, I'll look them up on my phone while I'm there and maybe, like, fill out the form to book. And if so, that's kind of fine. If I'm just looking for surf schools, like vacation, it might be a little different. So there's nothing immediately obvious that tells me where this is, other than Fuerteventura, and let's assume my geography's terrible. So maybe just including a little more information about like where we're at, that kind of thing.
Yeah, a map of where the beach is would be very useful right off the, you know, very soon, closer to the top of the page. I think that would be good, so we know where it's at.
Sure, because it could be on the other side of the island to your hotel.
Right. Yeah, maybe some directions, you know, something like that.
All right, and let's look at our next challenger, which is bankruptcyclinic.co.uk. And what's your gut reaction to this fairly bold headline and landing page, Tommy?
I love this page. Not that I love declaring bankruptcy because that's pretty terrible, but I love this page because this is the clearest value proposition I've seen. We can help you declare bankruptcy. Like you can declare bankruptcy in 3 simple steps. I think that this is great. The hero image behind it, I think, could be, there could be a little bit more emotion behind it, and it doesn't quite resonate with me that it's about bankruptcy. Are we like hopeful? Are we running away from something? I don't quite understand there. And I'm not in love with the try our bankruptcy test. Like I don't need to be tested on whether or not I'm eligible for bankruptcy because I haven't paid my bills in 7 months. And my house is in foreclosure and all that type of stuff. I'm not sure I need to be tested, so we can try to move the language around a little bit there to be more like, are you eligible for bankruptcy? Something like that. But I think my first impression of this page is that it is super clear, and even the 3 simple steps below here, 3 simple steps to start your bankruptcy: complete our bankruptcy application. You'll then speak to a bankruptcy expert about your opinion or your options, and our bankruptcy application will be completed and posted for you. Like, that's super clear. I'm not a huge fan of these 4 columns here. I think that, typically speaking, when it comes to columned reading like this online, it's very difficult for readability. So I would try breaking those out into like different subsections of the page as you're going down. But learn more about bankruptcy and central reading, all of this stuff. I think this works. It can work to help get you into the page. Now, this also isn't a landing page; it's a home page. So to bring you further into the site is, I think, a good thing. I might test different colors at the bottom. So if you scroll down here, I'm not really a huge fan of going of just button color testing, but learn more about bankruptcy. If that's not going to take me to the same page as the test, it might be good to give some sort of visual representation of that. But for the most part, this is one of my favorite pages.
And I kind of agree with you. The thing that I love is the immediate value proposition.
Yeah.
The visuals around, like you said, could be improved, because if I hadn't read the text, I would think this is for signing up for a marathon or something. I don't know if there is a good hero image you can have for bankruptcy that doesn't feel super sad or stock photo-y. But that's something I would probably play about with. In terms of scrolling down the page, I agree, maybe at least the essential readings are going to be in a different color. And then the other thing is just maybe creating some kind of testimonial presence or something that convinces me that this is a legit company. So
that's actually great for this area down here at the very bottom where there's nothing but a logo. Right. That might be a good place for testimonials and a secondary call to action.
Sure. So some way to alleviate any anxiety I might have about, I know exactly what I want to do, but do I want to trust these guys? Like, how do I know what professional boards are they a part of? How long have they been in business? That kind of thing. So, but generally very good. What I like about this page is it does the basics extremely well. Mm-hmm. Cool. So, in terms of, so they're very different landing pages here, but going back to the surf school and then the bankruptcy page, which of these would you have as your champion?
I have to go with the Bankruptcy Clinic. Not that I want to go hoorah for bankruptcy, but this is the clearest page I've seen yet.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I really like both of these pages. I think they kind of do exactly what they need to, but the bankruptcy one, just for being one of the few landing pages I see where they really just nail the basics and explain their value proposition straight off the bat, is one I would go with too.
Nah.
Cool. We got our final 2 in our opening bracket. So we have preventivocytoweb.com. This is a website developer. So I'm going to scroll down here, Tommy, while you just give your gut reaction to this page.
Oh, Sam, can you please start with the gut reaction, your gut reaction on this page, because I'm I need to have somebody, but I'm gonna be mean.
Okay.
I don't want to be mean. You're nicer than I am.
So my gut reaction is that I don't really know like your value proposition. So it's effective websites it's kind of a weak headline. Professional for users, designed for your clients, built for you. So it confuses me a little bit. It's designed for my clients, but I don't have any clients. I just wanted a website. So I don't know if I've come here as someone who just needs a website built for my company, like designed for your clients, does that confuse me? And then essentially I sell results as kind of a third subheading there. It seems a little business lingo-y to me, and I'm not sure exactly what that does. So,
yeah, I personally have never gone to the store looking for results.
Yeah.
I've never bought results before.
One result, please.
Yes, exactly. Sorry.
But you know, the thing is, as we scroll down, this actually it's not a bad website really as you go down. Like there's a lot of good stuff. It's just for me, it's the first 5 seconds of what I'm getting. It's like the smiling stock photo doesn't represent a website to me. Effective websites, sure, it's a very short, like what the kind of headline that I'm not expecting, and then the stuff underneath it really isn't doing too much for me. But you know, once I go down, okay, professional, visible on Google, actually seeing, okay, so this works desktop, iPad, mobile. You're starting to sell some benefits that are pretty good. Like Tommy said earlier, I'm not really a big fan of these sliders, but maybe kind of spacing these out throughout the page would be good. But you know, visual portfolio is everything for a design or a development company. So that's what I want to see. Do these websites that they've built, these are the ones they're showcasing. These are going to be their best ones. Do they look good? Do I like these ones? And then as we go down, so there's a little explanation like how do I make your website effective? So, you know, great experience in the CMS, web marketing consultancy, social network optimization. Okay, I mean there's a couple of ways we could improve that, but generally good. And then I'm not really a fan of this. You will win too. That again, it seems a bit ambiguous. But get to the bottom and see all the different projects. That's pretty good. And then looking at the pricing structure. So this one might be a little strange for me. So you can get a whole website for 1,600 euros versus a landing page for 1,300 euros. That's fine, I guess. But what if my website is like 1 million pages? I'm not sure that you're going to have the time. I guess it says from. So that's kind of to be discussed. But there's something that creates a little anxiety for me there with the pricing. Tommy, specifically on the pricing, like what do you think with having this? So it's kind of anchored to the landing page value is 1,300, but you can get a whole website for 1,600.
Yeah, so that's actually I experienced something in my own business when I was doing more consulting work, and I used the from language, and then every time, inevitably, it would be like, well, you said I could get this for that much money. And I said, well, no, it starts at this, and then we work up from there. And they're like, well, that's stupid. Like, that's what my clients would say to me, so I'm not saying that about this. But I think that if you could, if you make this a little bit clearer, you know, something like 10, you know, I will design up to 10 pages starting at 1,600 euros, and then we can talk about custom pricing from there. You're going to save yourself a lot of headache on the back end because your value proposition on the pricing is a little bit clearer here. And it's going to be a lot clearer as to, like, if I go, you know, I only have a 10-page, you know, I'm only looking for 10 different pages on my site. That's going to help me to, you know, do that there, you know, figure that out there. Otherwise, if I were, you know, a design client, I'm going, oh, well, why not just go for the 1,600, and then you're going to end up, you know, if it's 1,300 here, which is the price anchor, and it's 1,600 there, why don't I just go after the 1,600 and then try to get as much as I can out of this guy? Like, I think you can save yourself a lot of client hassle by changing the language around here. I don't know if you get hassled by clients, but I imagine that would be the case. And I think that, you know, the whole idea of effective websites, like, I'm not totally sold on the effective website. This website itself does not feel effective to me. But that's where I would go with that. I would change the language around there and probably save yourself some hassle on the back end. Scrolling back up to the top of the page, Sam, my main thing here is I feel like, and I've seen this before, it was read somewhere that, you know, eye gaze and directional cues and arrows, if somebody just sees the button a little bit clearer, then they're going to click on it. I feel like that sort of eye gaze it has been misunderstood, and if we're looking at this headline area, like it's really forcing me to look at this get results now, but there's nothing about this sort of headline area or the multiple subheaders here that tells me what results are, right? Are you going to turn out websites faster? Are you easier to work with? Are you lower priced? Do the websites you design convert higher, right? What's the actual value proposition here? And do you work as a sort, you know, design for your clients? That makes me think maybe you're an outsourced person for agencies, right? So maybe you could put that stuff in there. But effective websites, this is all just buzzy jargon, and I feel like it tries too hard to tell me what, you know, get results now is not. It's so ambiguous that as somebody who like outsources, you know, client work from time to time, design work, I probably would not work with this person just because this is not an effective website itself. If you're going to sell effectiveness on your website itself needs to be impeccable. You know, if you were to get rid of this whole header area and just start with the stuff that's right below it in the next section, you know, that works for me. You know, the great experience in the CMS, all this stuff right here, I could do without. But you know, overall, that's what I got to say.
Cool. I will say in defense of this website, I like the use of white space. I think it's actually kind of nicely designed, and they do some good things with. So I know you were saying about maybe overthinking visual cues, but like the eyes are obviously looking to the right place. You're looking at your headlines first of all. You're kind of being directed to where you need to go. So there are definitely some kind of nice design elements here too, and I like that it's a longer page because, you know, I do have a lot that I want to read if someone's going to design my website. There's some good testimonials that are actually legit. Mm-hmm. So they have pictures of what look like real people rather than stock photos, which is always important for me in a testimonial. If I think a testimonial is fake, that's a huge red flag for me. But if I look at this and I read it, it seems like a real person. They tell me the company they work for. Looks like they've just taken a picture that maybe they use on Twitter or something. Then that's a big plus too. So that, I think, you know, they do a really good job here for that.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot. I think if there was some fat trimmed from this page, right? Like bring the portfolio up a little bit sooner, because that's what I'm here to see. Right? That's what's going to speak to this more than anything else. Portfolio, testimonials, contact information. That's all stuff I want to see right off the bat. You know, other stuff, it's going to be secondary to what I can see and feel and experience myself. You know what I mean? So that's my thought. There we go.
Cool. And then we're taking this page up against Purdue University's homepage, which was submitted to us. And the reason we kind of included this in our magic side of the bracket was because it's a very different design element in terms of using these kind of the box layout. I think we said it looks a little bit like Windows 8 before, mm-hmm. which obviously was a huge success. So what's kind of your gut reaction to not just this Purdue page, but also like this kind of layout and this kind of design?
I think that the Metro design aesthetic can work well, given the context of the company that's using it. So, like, if this were a software company, right? If we were to apply this sort of design aesthetic to maybe the app company that we saw before, that would be useful to me, I think. Where this is a university, I would expect a different design aesthetic from it. So I think that overall it's good. But in a different context. For a university, you know, the homepage has to do a couple of things simultaneously. One, it has to be able to sell people on the university itself, but two, it has to be able for your faculty and student body. You have to be able to direct people to that and go like, this is something I'm proud of. And this, it doesn't really, it's supposed to act as a portal, but it doesn't really tell me anything about what's going on the page or the university itself, right? We got current students, career, research, and partnerships, and prospective students, but it doesn't, there's nothing here to really sell me on the university itself, or bring me further in. Now, granted, there's probably not a ton of sales that happen, like going to university myself. The website had very little to do with my actual decision, but I would say that maybe, you know, bringing a little bit more university gravitas to the homepage would probably be a better personal choice for me. That would be something I would do if I were in charge of this page.
And I think I mean we're having to assume that this is the landing page being used for any kind of application campaigns, just because it was submitted to us as the landing page. But
right.
Ideally, I would have, you know, my direct mail or whatever else Purdue are doing, email campaigns, PPC campaigns, going to you know, an apply now page that was really just focused on that. So I wouldn't send them to a portal where they could look at loads of stuff about the university. I would have just a really long form page to test that had tons and tons of information about why Purdue is great. So something that is just a masterwork of salesmanship and copywriting, and kind of telling you about, you know, what do prospective students want to know about? Do they want to know about student life? Do they want to know about the curriculum? And then give them links, obviously, to do more research. Maybe your call to action is something like download a prospectus.
Successful alumni. Finance information, yeah.
But right now, so if I know I'm a prospective student, there's a whole load of information that I'm going to have to go through like 15 different tabs to find. So it's really like, okay, am I going to stay here and do a research project, or am I going to leave? What would be nice is if I could just follow it kind of like a story and go down a page and have everything kind of come to me.
Yeah. Yeah, something, I mean, if this is going to be a homepage, can you scroll up just a little bit? If this is going to be a homepage for a university, and this is where you're going to drive a lot of your PPC traffic to, and it's just supposed to be general stuff, I would actually emphasize a search function here, right? And you know, something along the lines of like, and obviously don't use this copy exactly, but like, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? As a call to action to get the search, and then you can use the search for people to self-select where they're supposed to be going. That's not something I would normally recommend with landing pages itself, but for a homepage, for a university, that might be something that could be very beneficial for you, because, you know, having a strong internal site search that directs people to where they want to go, as opposed to relying on category pages and you know, this type of layout here, this sort of portal. That's what I would recommend if we're looking at this more from the homepage design and not as a landing page specifically. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, absolutely, Sam, as a landing page. But as a homepage, if we were to just critique it for what it is, I would say emphasize that search function, so you can get people to where they want to go.
Cool. So between this one and the last one, which one would you have as our champion?
Oh, that's a tough one. For me, it's Purdue.
And I think I would give it to this the Preventivo. So let's argue this out. What's the best thing about the Purdue from a design perspective that you think would send it through? It does, even though I'm not a big fan of this in the Metro type design and the colorful color block design, because really all you do see is color here. I do feel like it's a more unique. It does own its feel. I do feel like this owns itself a little bit more and does lend itself to that. The Preventivo, this feels really generic to me, and you know, this could be any website. Whereas Purdue, I think, even though I don't necessarily agree with the identity, it has its own unique identity. That makes sense. And for this one, so I like the use of white space and visual cues. And kind of scrolling down, I like that it tells it more as a story. So the more you go down, the more you learn, the more reasons they give you. Then you get to the portfolio. So cool. Simply on the basis of the 5-second impression being a bit too generic, I think I'm going to agree with you on the Purdue kind of owning its image for this back. Cool. And then we're going to quickly decide between these kind of final 4, which are our winners. So we have our Borrow watch page again, and that's up against our ClickLabs Android app developer. So of these two, which do you think, from kind of the technical perspective, does a better job at being a landing page?
From a technical standpoint, I think that's Borrow.
Okay, so let me see here. It's a tricky one. I think the ClickLabs page appeals to me more as a page overall, but within the bracket as a science, I think the Borrow page, I kind of agree with you, follows more best practices.
Mm.
Cool. So are we gonna have Borrow win out that round?
I think so. I think that's where I think so. Sorry, ClickLabs. I really do like what you're doing here.
Cool. And then let's quickly talk again about so I think I know which one you're going to choose here. For the Bankruptcy Clinic.co.uk and the Purdue page. Whoops. So I assume you're going to pick the bankruptcy page here just because of the strong call to action. From a design perspective, I mean, I guess it's nice and clean. I would have maybe an issue with that hero image being just nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. But also, here's something that I do enjoy about this page a little bit more. I'm going to go over to Purdue for a second, and this is it actually will apply to the Purdue page as well. Scroll up. Do we see anywhere on this page a call to action to speak with anybody from the university? Like a call in?
There's the apply now call to action.
Right. But if I wanted to just speak with a recruiter or learn about the programs or talk to somebody, like an actual real human being about, applying to or just what the university has to offer, I don't see that anywhere. There's no apparent phone number call to action, right? And what I like, and my reasoning for, because I am going to select the Bankruptcy Clinic as my finalist here, but I'm going to give you a very specific reason why. Both bankruptcy and selecting where you're going to go to school and ultimately what you want to be when you grow up are both very personal, conversation-driven decisions, right? It's not just about, I read a few pages online, but it's like, let me talk to somebody and kind of help guide me through this process. There's a lot that I like about the Bankruptcy Clinic from a design standpoint as far as clarity and call to action and all of that. But when it comes down to speaking with somebody, if you go over to the Bankruptcy Clinic page, at the very top of the page, there's call the 0808 free phone number or cheaper from the mobile. Like, you've got this, like, you can talk to somebody about this stuff right away, and you don't have to spend the entire time, going online, entering your information, and possibly getting spammed by a bunch of other bankruptcy companies. And you don't have that sort of conversation. There's no apparent option on the Purdue University page to call and talk to somebody. And that's really important when it comes to making big life decisions, which both of these pages represent, and Purdue doesn't have it.
Very cool. Okay, so we're gonna have our final two that our audience here can vote on, which is the Borrow Watch landing page against the Bankruptcy Clinic landing page. And we'll set the poll live here. So just quickly pick your favorite of these two to be our champion. And I have a feeling I know which way you're going to go on this, Tommy. Wait for the results to trickle in. In the meantime, let's quickly talk about HeroConf Conversion Summit. So if you've enjoyed listening to me and Tommy talk about landing pages, and you also maybe want to come and find out a little more about some of the technical side of things, look at some of the tools people are using, find out how to set up your own testing plans and programs, then obviously we'd love for you to come join us in Indianapolis on, I think, the 14th of October. So we're going to have a little offer come up in a second for that. But looks like our results are finally in. So our winner is the Bankruptcy Clinic. Not really a surprise based on our reactions to it, but we had 75% vote for that and 25% for the borrow page. So that's our landing page games champion.
Yay!
And as a reward for designing an awesome page, we have a free registration to HeroConf Conversion Summit. If you can make it over from the UK, we'd love to have you there. But that's awesome. So now I'm going to quickly scroll back to our PowerPoint here and just say if anyone's interested in a discount for being part of the webinar today to the Conversion Summit, just hit yes here. If you're not interested or can't make it or are busy, just hit no. But we'll send you a special offer code so you can save a little bit of money on that. And come and meet me and Tommy and a load of other super great experts in the CRO field, much better than myself, obviously.
Yeah, me too.
All about design and a lot of the kind of technical and design aspects there. Cool. So we don't have time for any Q&As, but appreciate you guys attending the webinar. If you want to get in touch with us, use the hashtag ThinkPPC, or again, to send a message to me or Tommy. And then if you have any complaints, you can send them to marketing@hanapinmarketing.com, because Jamie, our webinar host for today, would love to hear those. But thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it, and it's been great chatting with you today, Tommy.
Thank you. And I will actually be monitoring the ThinkPPC hashtag too. If there are Q&A questions, I'll be monitoring that for a little while to answer some questions if you'd like.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks very much, everyone. We're going to leave it at that. But like I said, feel free to get in touch with us after this, or we'd love to see you at HeroConf Conversion Summit.